Hello, my name is Joyce Umuhire and I am a Southern New Hampshire University student. I'm here to talk about the findings that I've found in the Gold Code Experience Art, and this is a project called the Creation and Recreation of Venus. We're going to look together more about this project, and we're going to talk about so many famous and stunning painters. So this is me talking. I hope you're going to go through all this to find out this amazing project that I've been working on. So, we are going to go directly to the outlines. In the outlines, we are going to just talk about a few things. First of all, we are going to go through the overview of the two painters. We have Tiziana and they call him Tiziano, Vasilio, and Manet Edward. So we're going to follow by Tiziana's Venus of Urbino painting, basically focusing on the subject matter and artistic style. We're going to look together the Manet's Olympia painting. Of course, we're going to just look together the subject matter and the artistic style. We're going to go on the similarities and differences between the two paintings. Those are Olympia and Venus of Urbino, focusing on the subject matter and the style. Lastly, we are going to go through the historical and cultural context of the two same paintings of Tiziana and Manet. And finally, we are going to go together and look on the references. Beginning with the overview of Tiziana or Tiziano Vasilio, we are going to talk about this greatest man of the 16th century. So this is the man who was born in 1488 to 90, they're not sure, but he died in 1556. So we're going to just go through his biography and background. So Tiziana, his real names were Tiziano Vasilio. He was born in 1488 to 90 and he died in 1576. He was born in Italy in the small village called Pieve di Cadore. He was recognized by his early works and his own lifetime was supremely as a great painter. Tiziano is also known as the greatest Italian Renaissance painter of the Venetian school. So, to talk about more of this greatest man, he was one of the greatest men in 16th century Venice. He's the first painter to have many international clients and most known for his Venetian school, like I've been saying. His greatest painting include Venus of Urbino, Assumption, The Virgin Secret, The Profane, Love Portrait of the Pope Paul III, and others. Tiziano was influenced, like, he came to influence so many people later on, most of them who are known. One is Manet. Manet is the one who was known to, like, who have been inspired by Tiziana. So he gained international fame. Like I've been saying, his remarkable color contributed to a lot of the major areas of the Renaissance, like the painters, the writers, the artists. He's one of the people who built the Renaissance of the 16th century. His best painting, of course, like I said, it's that one of Venus of Urbino. It was painted in 1538. It was just for Francisco Maria de la Rovere, Duke of Urbino. It was made, of course, of nude and erotic. You're going to see more about this. But he later turned his theme into paintings of most patrons like the Duke of Spain and other people. So I guess you understand now. We're going to go to the next slide. like I said, we are going to have two painters. One, we have just looked through him and we now know who is Titiana. And now we're going to talk about the great man of the 19th century called Manet Edward. So he was born in 1832 and he died so young. Of course, he died in 1883. So we are going to just go through and know him and know more about him after this slide. Like I said, we have seen who is Edward Monet. You have seen the picture. We're going to go through his biography. His names is the same, Manet Edward. He was born in 1832 and he died in 1883, so young. So he was born in France, in Paris, in a well-known family. His father was a reputable judge, while his mother was a royal ancestry. I mean, for the first time, his father wanted him to become a soldier, but Edward didn't want. Luckily, he failed the exam of joining the army, and then he proceeded his work of becoming a painter. To broaden his knowledge, Monet traveled to several parts of the world, mostly in Italy, Netherlands and Germany. Through his journey and traveling, he was inspired by people and painters of the past, like over 300 years, like Tatiana, Caravaggio, Vermeer, Rembrandt, and other artists. Manet died after accomplishing over 420 paintings. It was very huge, like he had painted a lot. He left behind a reputation of the first modern bold and influential artist. So to talk about this fantastic man, Manet Edward of the 19th century, is one of the Frenchmen, one of the 19th century artists to painting modern life. Like it was so modern, he wanted French to see the modernization in his painting. But however, it was not easy because he has been criticized and discouraged so much to the extent that he was the most debatable man of the 19th century by praise by everyone because of what he did. Like he was really discouraged and his work was rejected by the salon. Like he lost hope, but luckily, he was saved by Napoleon III, where Manet painted the three beautiful and wonderful paintings. One of them was Dead Christ with Angels, but still he was criticized because they thought he rejected and undermined the body of the Christ. So they thought he had no sense of spirituality and did not acknowledge that he was painting the Son of God. So he was really, really criticized, but still it kept him going. So Edward's famous painting, the most famous painting included, still they are there. So they include Luncheon on the Grass and Olympia. We are going to look at Olympia after this slide, but these are the most famous work. So Edward led French from realism to impressionism. Manet was influenced by impressionists especially the two men Monet and Marisot. So he was totally criticized and undermined, but still he tried to make it life. Like he went on. It didn't matter however much he was criticized because once he said, I have one ambition, not to stay equal to myself, not to do the same things day after day, but he said he wants to keep on seeing things from a new angle. So I want to try make people hear a new note every time. So those words they were so strong because how much he was criticized, but he wanted to see people seeing and hearing every new note. Like he didn't seeing most of the things from the same angle. He wanted to try, learn new things, paint new things, modernize and everything. So that was Manet Edward. We are going to the next slide. Starting with Titiana's Venus of Urbino. this is the painting. We are going to talk about this painting. It was drawn in 1538. It was drawn by Tiziano Vasilio, and the subject matter of this painting is just nude woman. This woman is just naked. So the style that was used while drawing this painting was tourism. As you can see, this painting is so perfect. There is no any other flaws or imperfection on this picture. It is very beautiful. Everything is like too much. The layers that were used were much. To say that Luciana used over 10 to 15 layers while painting this picture. The outside view, so it is so beautiful. So when you look at this picture, the first thing you see is a nude woman lying on bed, very beautiful, very pretty, and calm. So this picture has two parts. There is just what you see when you just set eyes on it, and then there is a background where we can see a lady and a child and a dog and everything. So we are going to go slowly and slowly talking about and explaining the meaning of these parts in this painting. First of all, we have a nude woman. Like when you see, you can see the breast, you can see the belly, and you can see the private parts where her left hand is covering it. So when you see it, that's why it has the subject matter of nude woman. So she was really pretty and expressed herself, which symbolizes love, being loved, and erotism somehow. So again, we have flowers. So these flowers in Italian time, in because it was drawn in 16th century, of course, by Tiziana, flowers symbolized love. Like love was one of the things that were booming up at that time. So the whoever had flowers or was given flowers at that time, it showed love. We have a servant. This servant is like tending to a child, maybe making sure she's not crying or they are playing hide and seek. This servant symbolizes motherhood, as you can see. And then we have a beautiful dog lying down on the edge of the bed. This beautiful dog symbolizes loyalty, fidelity at that time. And we have the white sheets where Venus is lying. These white sheets symbolizes purity. And again, we have the red pillows with red flowers, with the red servant address, all symbolizes love as well. So this painting was painted by, of course, Titiana, which is called Venus of Urbino. It was painted for Guidobardo II della Ver of Urbino. But the idea of drawing this painting, it was just like a recreation, which was based on Gigoni's Sleeping Venus. There is another painting which is called Sleeping Venus, that where Titiana got the idea of drawing this painting. So thank you so much for understanding. Let's go to the next slide. We are going to Man's Olympia painting. So this is the painting. It was drawn in 1863. As you can see, this painting is almost going to look like the Venus of Urbino by Stiano, but there is a big difference, and the intentions for drawing this picture is very different. So it's all that Manet takes Tiana's like Venus of Urbino and transgress it into something very modern to produce Olympia. So everything is almost the same. When you just look at it, the declines, the line, the position, the flowers, the pace. But let's just take a look and just acknowledge what this picture is all about and what it means for Manet and the world. So This picture was drawn by Manet Edward, a French artist, a painter, and it was painted in 1863, like I've been saying. The subject matter here is all about Parisian prostitution, or Paris prostitution, like prostitution in Paris, in other words. The style used in this painting is realism. As you can see, this painting has no much perfection. Like there's so much imperfection, flaws. There is like little or much attention that is paid while drawing. Yes, it might have taken time, but there will, of course, if there was a chance, like the painter would have made it perfect, like in Titiana, everything so perfect. But here, Mane tried to make everything so simple, beautiful, with single brush. There was nothing like be making it perfect and making it into something that is unreal. Like everything is so perfect, simple and real is and real. So we are going to just take a look on this painting and we're going to learn more about this painting. But when you see it, the first thing you see is nude woman, which like shows how this woman is lying and hiding her private parts. So when you look at it, you see like a nude woman, and we also have the way, the confidence, the expression, how this woman or Olympia is just looking directly to the eyes of the viewer, also shows the confidence in the the expressions, which shows that there was prostitution, because in France at that time, a woman would not dare look straight into a person's eye. So if they were able to look straight into the person's eyes, it's because they wanted something, and of course that's money. They were prostitutes, and we have their expensive slippers. We have the bracelets. We have the flower. All this symbolizes what we call wealth, because of course when they work, they are paid, so they have to be beautiful, they have to make themselves look pretty. So the slippers, the bracelets, the flowers in the head all symbolizes wealth here. We have the flowers. These flowers are brought by a black servant. So this flower symbolizes prostitution. Probably they are from maybe like a patron who wants to talk to Olympia about having sex with her, and she's buying her flowers, and she looks like she doesn't mind because she has received many and she even received them, so she's really careless and doesn't mind about the flowers. So we have a black servant. This is different from Titiana, because as you can see, this servant is a black woman. In Titiana it was light skinned woman. So black women at that time in France, they were used much in prostitution industry, because they were used in prostitution at that time. This also symbolizes prostitution, which brings back to the subject matter of prostitution in Paris. We have a beautiful and a black cat at the end of the bed. This cat symbolized in that time symbolizes laziness, it symbolized prostitution, symbolizes lust. So all these come back to the subject matter of Manet's painting. We are going to talk about the similarities and the differences of the two paintings. That's of course Olympia and Venus of Urbino. So these paintings, one becomes the creation of the other. Like Olympia is the creation of Venus of Urbino, as also Venus of Urbino was the creation of Sleeping Venus. So we are going to just take a look and differentiate, and we also compare the two paintings. Starting with the similarities, we are going to look together and compare the two paintings. One, when you look at the two paintings, all you see is nude woman in both paintings. Flowers are used on both painting. Like in Venus of Urbino, as you can see, Venus has flowers with her right hand, and when you look in Olympia, a servant brings flowers. Also, those are the similarities of the two paintings. We have the same lying position with the left hand covering the same part of the body. That's also another similarity because in Olympia, Olympia is covering her private parts with the left hand, the same as in Venus of Urbino. So there is the use of animal or pets are the same because there is use of animals in these paintings. One uses a card, which is of course Olympia, and the Venus of Urbino uses a dog. And here pets are on the same edge because the carrot and the dog are all the same on the edge of the bed of the two beautiful women. However, there's so much there is a comparison to talk about here. First of all, Venus of Urbino was drawn in the Renaissance by Tiziana, and yet Olympia was drawn in 19th century by Manet. So there is the style used in this painting are too different because Manet used a realism, like everything was so real, there was no much work done. There was single brush, black and white paints. There was nothing more attractive to this picture. It was like he had never drawn before. And yet, in Titiana, everything was so perfect. Like the drawing, the painting, the layers used were too much, 10 to 15. The view, everything is so perfect that when you look at it, you think it's unreal. Like the beauty is too much of Venice. Venus of Urbino looks so smooth with much attention, while Olympia's picture is simple, single brush, like I've been saying. Another difference is the use of servants. Like in Venus of Urbino, there is a light-skinned servant, which also symbolizes the motherhood because she's attending a child crying or playing seek and hide. Whereas in Olympia, the black servant presented sexual innuendo. So, like servants at that time, mostly black women were used in just sexual acts. But in Venice of Urbino, it just that servant represented like a chambermaid or a nun. The use of animal pets here symbolizes different things because a dog at that time of 16th century in Venice of Urbino represented fidelity, like loyalty, while in Olympia it's different. The card presents prostitution, lust, laziness, because that's what it is at that time. And last but not the least, the flowers used contrast because in Olympia, flowers symbolizes like they imply the presence of a client, someone who wants to buy a prostitute for a certain purpose. And whereas in Venice, it is really different because the flowers symbolizes love together with the red pillows, together with everything. So it is really different. To talk more about this painting, when you look at the Tiziana's Venus of Urbino, which was drawn in 1538, was shown in Salute 307 years before Manet. It's like there is a big difference. Olympia came after in 1863, and for Olympia it was almost like a mockery. Everything was different. They criticized him for like copying the same work and undermining it. Like they always say it wasn't finished. Like he wanted to present like prostitution in Paris, so they thought it was a scandal thing. So another difference is like when Teteno created Venus of Urbino, he was overknown. He was well known, was already known with so much like arts work to do. So there was nothing to question about. But when Manet painted this painting, he made a movement which recovered the previous work, and he was known from that moment. But again, he wasn't known for something really good because he was talked by Paris press. Everyone was just talking about the painting, how it's so bad, it's undermining the culture, it's like talking about the prostitution in Paris and everything. That's where he said, once he said at that time, he said that I have one ambition, not to say equal to myself, not to do the same things day after day. I want to keep on like seeing things from a new angle. I want to try make people hear a new note every day. So that those were his words because it was really too much. People were talking about him. And then he had set eyes and set boundaries and leave about the criticism, which is different with Olympia. I mean, with Venus of Rabina, because at that time they accepted, they favored because it was drawn for a big man, for the marriage of Barto the second. And yet, this creation of Venus also was like a recreation from Sleeping Venus, but they didn't say anything, which is another big difference. Mani's work seems to be unfinished to the eyes of people, yet he wanted them to see a different angle from what he wanted them to have. Like, they shouldn't have the same things, perfection. So he wanted to, like, make Paris the people with impressionism. So everything is just different, although they are somehow the same, but the symbols, the the idea, the purpose, attitude is really different with this man. So thank you so much. Starting with the historical and cultural context of Venus of Arabino by Titiana, we are going to take a look at this picture and we are going to learn more about the historical and cultural context of Venus of Arabino. So this is the historic context. First of all, Venus of Urbino was made in Italy in 16th century, and it was the recreation of Sleeping Venus by Guillaumes, which was made in 1477 to, I mean, he was born in 1477 to 1510, and Venus of Urbino was made in Renaissance period. So this was in 16th century, and much was being done, and it has some sign of love, and most painters, writers, and philosophers used to have this sign of love, and it motivated them. So Venus of Urbino again remains the iconic version of reclining female nude and treasure of Venetian high Renaissance. So again, talking about the cultural context, of course, as you can see, the flowers in this time symbolized love in Italian culture, and again the lying dog symbolized the fidelity in time of Titiana in 16th century. So I guess that's what I had for you. Thank you so much. Talking about the historical and cultural context of Olympia by Annette, of course. So this is the picture, and it was drawn, of course, in 1863. And we are going to first look at the historic context of the picture of Olympia. First of all, Olympia was drawn in 19th century in France. Olympia is the creation of Venus of Arabino. Olympia was hanged in Paris Salon in 1965, and of course it was criticized. And again, Monet is due to his picture is referred to as the father of Impressionism. So this is one of some historical context, and we have also some cultural context. So flowers here symbolizes prostitution in Paris. A cat symbolizes laziness, prostitution as well, and also the black woman symbolizes prostitution because black women that time symbolizes prostitution, or they were used in a prostitution process. So this is all I had for you today, and thank you so much. So, for more information about what I've been talking about, these are the references. These are the most like information and the different websites where I retrieved this information between Venus of Arabina and Olympia, and learning more about Titiana and Manet. So thank you so much for attending and learning more about art. Bye. These are the continuation of the references for more information again. Thank you.